Before I get started, I want to point out that despite being a member of the clergy and a trans woman, I have never molested anyone. So I did not go to seminary because I had some deep, abiding love for Jesus. Don't get me wrong, he's a fine guy, he turns water into wine, and that is a cool gig. But I didn't go to seminary because Jesus was my boyfriend. I went because I was called. And that was surprising. That was probably most surprising to me, but surprising to the rest of my friends as well, because I was the sort of girl who, when she finished confirmation, never darkened the door of her church ever again. Now, when I went to seminary and I was on internship in the third year, my internship supervisor sat me down and he looked me in the eye and he said, "Vivienne, even if you just touch one life, your ministry will be worth it." Which is maybe true, maybe, but it's a really fucking low standard. And it should have been a huge blaring red flag for me. Now, I graduated from the academic hell that is seminary, and somebody knows. And because Goddess has a mean streak a mile wide, and because after 4 years in seminary I had some Stockholm Syndrome going on as well as some student loans to repay, I was ordained. And I got to become one of the real-life men in black. And let me tell you, when you roll up to the nursing home, you do not need a flashy thing. Nobody will remember you 5 minutes after you've been there. Now, because I was, let's say, irreverent in seminary, I was assigned to a small rural congregation in Illinois. Make no mistake about it, this was punishment. But it was mine, and I loved it, and I loved the people when I first got there. I mean, they taught me to loathe their little black, shriveled up, miserable souls. But when I got there, I loved them. And I went to my first church council meeting, and I was so excited, and they said, "Vivienne, we called you to be our pastor because we wanted somebody fresh out of seminary. We wanted somebody with new ideas who was going to reinvigorate the congregation and teach us all sorts of new things and get us to do new things." And I was stupid enough to believe them. I knew what they needed was to go out into the world to get their hands dirty, to do the work that really matters. And I knew that, so I suggested to them that they sponsor a Habitat for Humanity house, and they pushed back right away. They said, "There's no way we can afford that." And I pushed back, and they pushed back, and we went back and forth, and finally we agreed that what we would do is we would send some labor out to help build a Habitat for Humanity house that some car dealership in town was sponsoring, because they actually cared. So the first day, 5 guys from my congregation showed up, and that was exciting. And then nobody ever showed up again. Rinse and repeat for the local food pantry. Rinse and repeat for the local soup kitchen. Rinse and repeat for this really great auto repair mission I wanted to start. I couldn't even get my youth group to come and play paintball with me, and I have never met a teenager that didn't want to shoot their pastor. What my congregation was telling me was that they didn't really want to be reinvigorated. They really didn't want this renaissance that they told me about. What they really wanted was somebody to come and be the grand poobah of their angry little social club. And I didn't spend 8 years to be the grand poobah of shit. When I went and I sat with my colleagues over coffee and tech study and consolation, I found that everybody in the area was having the exact same problems that I had. They were having these victories that were incredibly small and incredibly pointless. They were having these little tiny victories. And I'm not going to tell you that I didn't have my victories either. I had them. They were just things like, "Hey, I got my congregation to sing a new hymn on Sunday." Who gives a shit? Eventually, years later back at seminary. I want to point out that some of these photos, like I had to go to the internet to get them because there's lots of photos of like really pretty churches and things like that, and not of actually people getting involved. 3 guesses why. So every once in a while now, somebody will ask me about the church and about my experience and what I think about Jesus. And I have to admit to people, I don't really know much about Jesus more than I did back when I left confirmation. But about the church, when the people ask me about the church, I know about the church. The church can go to hell. Thank you.